was coming to the house, behold, dead was dead, and laid upon. They went in therefore and shut the door upon them and prayed unto the Lord. And he went up and lay upon the child and put his mouth upon his mouth and his eyes upon his eyes and his hands upon his hands. And he stretched himself upon the child, and the flesh of the child waxed warm. Then he returned and walked in the house to and fro, and went up and stretched himself upon him, and the child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. And he called Gehazi and said, Call this Shunammite. So he called her, and when she was coming unto him, he said, Take up thy son. Then she went in and fell at his feet and bowed herself to the ground and took up her son and went out. And Elisha came again to Gilgal, and there was a death in the land. And the sons of the prophets were sitting before him. And he said unto his servants, Set on the great pot and sit pottage for the sons of the prophets. And one went out into the field to gather herbs, and found a wine vine, and gathered thereof wine gods his lap full, and came and shred them into the pot of pottage, for they knew them not. So they poured out for the men to eat. And it came to pass, as they were eating of the pottage, that they cried out and said, O thou man of God, there is death in the pot, and not eat thereof. But he said, Then bring me to people that stay in the pot. And brought them of God fruit 20 loaves of barley and 4 ears of corn in the hocks thereof. And he said, Give unto the people that they may eat. And he said to us, What? Shall I set this before 100 men? He said again, Give the people that they may eat, for thus saith the Lord, they shall eat and shall live thereof. So he set it before them, and they did eat and left thereof, according to the word of the Lord. Chapter 5. Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. And the Syrians had gone out by companies, and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited Naaman's wife. And she said unto her mistress, Would God my Lord were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy. And one went in and told his Lord, saying, Thus and thus said the maid that is of the land of Israel. And he said, Go, and I will send the letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed and took with him 10 talents of silver and 6,000 pieces of gold and 10 changes of raiment. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servants to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. When the king of Israel had read that he rent his clothes and said, Am I God to kill and to make alive? That this man doth send unto me to go recover a man of his leprosy. Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me. And so when Elisha the man of God had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet. Naaman came with his horses and with his chariots, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee. And thou Naaman was wroth, and went away and said, Behold, and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place, and leper. And not Abana and far rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel, may I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. And the servants came near and spake unto him and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee to do some great thing, wouldest thou not have done it? How much rather than when he saith to thee, Wash and be clean? Then went in down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God. And his flesh came again like unto the flesh of the and he was clean, and returned to the man of God, he and all his company, and came and stood before him and said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth, but in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. But he said, As the Lord liveth before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. And Naaman said, Shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servants 2 most burdens of earth? For thy servants will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto them. And this thing the Lord pardoned thy servant. And when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon. When I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardoned thy servant in this thing. And he said unto him, Go in peace. So he departed from him a little way. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, Behold, my master hath spared Naaman this Syrian, in not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him and take somewhat of. So Gehazi followed after Naaman, and when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him and said, Is all well? And he said, All is well. My master had sent me, saying, Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments. And Naaman said, Be content. Take talents. And he urged him and bound 2 talents of silver in 2 bags, with 2 changes of garments, and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and he buried them before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand and bestowed them in the house, and they let the men go, and they departed. But he went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said unto him, Whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, Thy servant went no whither. And he said unto him, Went not mine heart with thee when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? Is it a time to receive money, or to receive garments, or olive yards, or vineyards, and sheep, and oxen, and men servants, maids? Shall give unto thee, and not to thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence, a leper as white as snow. Chapter 6. And the sons of the prophet said unto Elisha, Behold, now the place where we dwell with thee is too straight for us. Let us go, we pray thee, unto Jordan, and take thence every man a beam, and let us make a place well. And he answered, Go ye. And one said, Be content, I pray thee, and go with thy servants. And he answered, Go. And he went. So he went with them, and when they came to Jordan, cut down wood. And as one was felling a beam, the axe head fell into the water, and they cried and said, Alas, master, for it was borrowed. And the man of God said, Where fell it? And he shewed him the place, and he cut down the stick and cast it in thither, and the iron did swim. Therefore said he, Take it up to thee. And he put out his hand and took it. And the king of Syria warred against Israel, and took counsel with his servant, saying, In such and such a place shall be my camp. And the man of God sent unto the king of Israel, saying, Beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians are come down. And the king of Israel sent to the place which the man of God told him, and warned them of, and saved himself there, not once nor twice. Syria was so troubled for this thing. And he called his servants and said unto them, Will ye not of this for the? And one of the servants said, Not my lord, O king, but Elisha the prophet that is in Israel. Telleth the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber. And he said, Go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, Behold, he is in Dothan. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and a great host, and they came by night and passed the city. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, an host compassed the city both with horses and chariots. And the servant said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered, Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man. And he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire around Elisha. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed unto the Lord and said, Smite these people, I pray thee, with blindness. And he smote them with blindness according to the word of Elisha. And Elisha said unto them, This is not the way, neither is this the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the home. But he led them to Samaria. And it came to pass when they were coming to Samaria that Elisha said, Lord, open the eyes of these men that they may see. And the Lord opened their eyes, and they saw, and behold, they were in the midst of Samaria. And the king of Israel said unto Elisha, when he saw them, My father, shall I smite them? Shall I smite them? And he answered, Thou shalt not smite them. Wouldest thou smite those whom thou hast taken captive with thy sword and with thy bow? Set bread and water before them, that they may eat and go to their master. And they prepared great provision for them. And when they had eaten and drunk, he sent them away, and they went to their master. So the bands of Israel came no more into the land of Israel. After this, that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his host and went up and besieged Samaria. And the official was passing by upon the wall. There cried a woman unto him, saying, O king. And he said, If the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of the band out of the winepress. And to her, what is it? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Who will eat my son tomorrow? So we boiled our son. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, Give thy son. When the king heard the words of the woman, that he rent his clothes, and he passed by upon the wall, and the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth within upon flesh. And then he said, God do so and more also to me, if the head of Elisha the son of Shaphat on him this day. But Elisha said, If we say we should wait, then the famine is in the city, and we shall die here. And if we sit here, and if we see the host of the state, hear a noise of chariot, and a noise of the host of hear a noise of chariot, and a noise of horses, even the noise of a great host. And they said one to another, Lo, the king of Israel hath hired against us the kings of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians to come upon us. Wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight, and left their tents and their horses and their asses, even the camp as it was, and fled for their life. these lepers came to the uttermost part of the camp, they went into one tent and did eat and drink, and carried thence silver and gold and raiment, and went and hid it, and came again and entered in another tent and carried thence also, and